Have you ever wondered why some people seem to thrive, always moving closer to their dreams, while others struggle to make any real progress? The answer often lies in a single powerful factor: habits. Habits shape our actions, influence our thoughts, and ultimately determine our path in life. The good news? Habits aren't set in stone. They can be transformed, reshaped, and aligned with your goals. This book, Mindset Shift, Transform Your Life with Habits, is a guide to help you develop life-changing habits that will shift your mindset and empower you to achieve lasting change. Together, we'll explore what it takes to identify, establish, and maintain the habits that fuel personal growth. Each chapter will take you deeper, guiding you through actionable steps and reflections designed to create a mindset that's resilient, adaptable, and primed for success. Ready to begin your journey toward transformation? Let's get started. Chapter 1: Foundations of Change. Embracing the habit mindset. What does it mean to truly embrace change? For many, the thought of changing deeply ingrained habits feels overwhelming or even impossible. Yet, understanding that change is not only achievable but essential can be the first major step toward a meaningful transformation. In this chapter, we'll explore how adopting a habit mindset, the idea that growth is built through intentional, consistent actions, forms the foundation of lasting change. At its core, the habit mindset is about recognizing that habits are powerful drivers of our behavior. From small routines like brushing your teeth to more complex behaviors like planning your day, habits shape the structure of our lives. They operate almost automatically, freeing up mental energy for other tasks. But not all habits serve us well. Often, we have habits that we'd rather not acknowledge. Things we do out of comfort or familiarity, even when we know they don't support our goals. Embracing the habit mindset requires a willingness to look closely at these patterns and accept that, with effort and awareness, any habit can be shifted or replaced. Consider a relatable example: someone who has a habit of checking their phone first thing in the morning. Without much thought, they reach for it, scroll through messages or social media, and spend the first moments of their day passively consuming information. While this habit may feel harmless, it can subtly impact the rest of the day. The habit mindset encourages this person to pause and ask, is this habit supporting the kind of day I want to have? By doing so, they might realize that replacing this routine with a few minutes of mindful breathing or setting intentions for the day could lead to a more focused and peaceful morning. The habit isn't necessarily bad in itself, but being conscious of it allows for a shift towards something that better aligns with their goals. The beauty of a habit mindset is that it empowers you to look at habits as tools rather than burdens. Each habit serves a purpose, even if it's a purpose you've outgrown. This mindset shift doesn't happen overnight. It requires a willingness to take small, consistent steps toward new habits that support your growth. Another example is the habit of procrastination. Procrastination often creeps in as a comforting escape when faced with challenging tasks. If we dig a little deeper, we might find that this habit stems from a fear of failure or perfectionism. A person with a habit mindset understands that changing the behavior is more than simply stopping procrastination. Instead, they recognize the need to replace it with smaller, manageable actions that can ease them into the task and boost their confidence over time. One key principle in developing a habit mindset is the idea of incremental progress. Too often, we feel pressured to make drastic changes quickly, which can lead to burnout or frustration. A habit mindset reminds us that true change happens gradually, with consistency being more important than speed. Think about someone who wants to start exercising regularly. Instead of jumping into a rigorous workout plan, they might begin with a short daily walk, gradually increasing the time or intensity as their body adjusts. By focusing on consistency, they're more likely to make exercise a natural part of their routine, something they do without excessive effort or motivation. This gradual approach allows the brain to become familiar with the new habit, making it easier to sustain over the long term. Our minds and bodies crave familiarity, and habits offer that stability. But by intentionally shifting into a new habit, you teach your brain to accept and even embrace new patterns. This is where the habit mindset becomes transformative. It's a continuous process of small changes that add up to big results over time. There's no rush or pressure. It's about progress, not perfection. Embracing this mindset also involves understanding the power of environment in shaping habits. Often our surroundings reinforce our existing habits, even the ones we want to change. Imagine someone who wants to eat healthier but is surrounded by snacks and sweets at home. To make healthy eating a habit, they might start by gradually replacing those snacks with nutritious options. By reshaping their environment, they create fewer barriers to making healthier choices. This process isn't about willpower. It's about setting yourself up for success by making the desired habit easier to maintain. When you embrace the habit mindset, you understand that changing your environment can be just as powerful as changing your thoughts. At the heart of all this is the understanding that small actions, done consistently, lead to transformation. A habit mindset frees you from the idea that change has to be overwhelming or drastic. Instead, you can look at change as a series of manageable steps, each one adding a layer of strength to your foundation. This approach not only makes change less intimidating, but also helps you build resilience, allowing you to adjust and grow even when life throws challenges your way. To put this into practice, consider reflecting on one habit you currently have that you'd like to improve. Ask yourself, how does this habit fit into my life today, and how might it support or hinder my goals? Once you identify an area of growth, think about one small step you could take to shift this habit. Maybe it's setting a reminder to drink more water, taking 5 minutes to breathe in the morning, or jotting down a simple plan for the day. Whatever it is, commit to it consistently and allow yourself the grace to build it gradually. As we continue through this book, remember that every change, no matter how small, is a step forward. The habit mindset is a powerful approach that reminds you that growth is not only possible, but also within reach. Change isn't about transforming everything overnight. It's about giving yourself permission to take small, steady steps toward the person you want to become. So take a moment to visualize one change you'd like to make and trust in your ability to embrace it, one step at a time. Reflective question: what is one small habit you could adopt today that would support your growth? Write it down and commit to practicing it daily for a week, observing how it begins to influence your mindset. Chapter 2: Breaking Barriers. Identifying Limiting Patterns. What if the habits holding you back are hidden in plain sight? Sometimes the most powerful barriers to our growth are the patterns and routines we hardly even notice. Automatic behaviors that, while comfortable, may be silently working against us. In this chapter, we'll uncover the hidden patterns that may be limiting your potential and explore how you can begin shifting them to open the door to meaningful progress. Limiting patterns often come from deeply ingrained beliefs, habits, and assumptions about ourselves and our lives. They're the routines we slip into unconsciously, usually because they provide a sense of familiarity and security. However, familiarity isn't the same as progress. Take the habit of self-doubt, for instance. Many people struggle with a critical inner voice that questions their abilities or decisions. This mindset can quietly infiltrate everyday actions, from the way they approach work tasks to how they interact with others. Without even realizing it, they might avoid opportunities or refrain from expressing ideas, all due to a pattern of self-doubt that's working in the background. Recognizing this limiting pattern is the first step toward breaking free from it. Identifying these barriers requires self-awareness. It's about being curious and willing to observe your thoughts and actions without judgment. Imagine a person who finds themselves repeatedly avoiding tasks they feel are too challenging or outside their comfort zone. By pausing to reflect on this behavior, they may discover that this avoidance stems from a fear of failure or a belief that they're not capable of succeeding. Rather than labeling this as a simple case of procrastination, they can start to view it as a pattern, a self-protective habit that's holding them back from growth. Acknowledging the presence of this pattern allows them to question its validity and explore ways to shift their approach. Breaking free from limiting patterns is not about pushing through with sheer willpower. It's about understanding the roots of these behaviors and gently redirecting them. Think of it like pruning a tree. You're carefully removing what no longer serves you to make room for growth. One example of a limiting pattern is the habit of saying yes to every request or commitment, even when it conflicts with personal priorities. This behavior can stem from a desire to please others or a fear of disappointing people, but it often leads to stress, overwhelm, and the feeling that there's no time left for personal goals. By recognizing this pattern, someone can begin setting boundaries, gradually learning to say no when necessary to protect their energy and time. Once you've identified a limiting pattern, the next step is to challenge it. This involves questioning the beliefs that underlie the behavior. Let's say someone frequently doubts their ideas and tends to keep quiet in group discussions. By examining this habit, they might uncover a belief that their ideas aren't valuable, or that others are more knowledgeable. Challenging this belief can start with small actions, like sharing one idea per meeting, or reminding themselves that everyone's perspective has value. Over time, these small shifts in behavior can weaken the hold of the limiting pattern and reinforce a more positive self-view. Changing these deeply ingrained patterns may feel uncomfortable at first. After all, limiting patterns exist precisely because they offer a sense of security. However, growth requires stepping beyond this comfort zone. The process isn't about erasing the discomfort, but about acknowledging it and moving forward anyway. Picture someone who has a pattern of avoiding new social situations because they're nervous about fitting in. Breaking this habit doesn't mean they'll suddenly feel confident in every social setting. Instead, they might start by attending one event, even if it's uncomfortable, and reminding themselves that growth comes from new experiences. With time, they'll build resilience, gradually expanding their comfort zone as they continue to challenge this limiting pattern. Another common limiting pattern is the all-or-nothing mindset. This mindset can trap people into thinking that if they can't achieve a goal perfectly, they shouldn't attempt it at all. This might look like someone who wants to eat healthier but gives up on their goal the moment they have one unhealthy meal. In reality, perfection is rarely attainable and progress is far more valuable. By identifying and challenging this all-or-nothing mindset, they can shift to a more forgiving approach, understanding that one setback doesn't erase their efforts. This flexibility makes it easier to stay on track and ultimately leads to more sustainable, fulfilling progress. Shifting from a limiting pattern to an empowering one requires patience. You're not just building a new habit, you're replacing an old one, which can take time and persistence. But each small step you take weakens the hold of the limiting pattern and strengthens your new approach. Consider someone who has a habit of constantly comparing themselves to others. This pattern often leads to feelings of inadequacy, making them doubt their own progress. They can start to counter this by practicing gratitude or self-reflection, taking a few moments each day to acknowledge their own strengths and accomplishments. With consistent effort, this practice can gradually replace the comparison habit with a more positive, affirming outlook. One way to maintain motivation as you work through these shifts is to celebrate small wins. Breaking a limiting pattern isn't always about grand gestures. It's often the small changes that make the biggest difference. Let's say someone has a pattern of avoiding physical activity because they don't consider themselves athletic. They might start with something simple, like a 10-minute walk each morning. While it may seem minor, each day they stick to this new routine is a victory, a step away from the limiting belief and toward a healthier self-image. By celebrating these small wins, they're reinforcing the value of each effort and building momentum for continued change. As you work to identify and shift your limiting patterns, remember that setbacks are part of the process. Habits are deeply ingrained and may resurface, especially during times of stress or uncertainty. When this happens, practice self-compassion. Rather than seeing a setback as a failure, recognize it as a natural part of growth. You're learning, evolving, and strengthening your commitment to a new way of thinking and being. Each attempt, even if it doesn't go perfectly, is an essential step toward breaking free from patterns that no longer serve you. Reflective question: what is one limiting pattern in your life that may be holding you back? Reflect on its roots and consider one small step you can take to begin shifting it this week. Chapter 3. Setting intentions, clarifying your habit goals, Have you ever started a new habit with enthusiasm, only to lose motivation after a few days or weeks? One of the key reasons people struggle to maintain new habits is a lack of clear intention. When your goals are vague or unexamined, it's easy to lose sight of why you're making the effort in the first place. In this chapter, we'll explore the power of setting clear, intentional goals for your habits. By aligning your habits with your values and priorities, you'll find the motivation to stick with them over the long term. Setting an intention is more than simply deciding, "I want to change." It's about understanding the deeper reasons behind that desire. Intentions give you direction, a compass pointing toward what truly matters to you. For example, if you want to develop a habit of exercising regularly, ask yourself why this is important to you. Maybe it's to improve your health, increase your energy, or build confidence. Knowing your why transforms a simple action into something meaningful. It becomes more than just exercise. It's a step toward a healthier, happier life. With a clear intention, each time you work on your habit, you're reminded of the deeper purpose behind it. A common mistake when setting new habits is to focus on the action without clarifying the goal. Imagine someone who wants to wake up early every day. Without a clear intention, the habit may quickly feel like a chore. However, if they set an intention to create more time for self-care or personal projects, waking up early gains purpose. Now, each morning becomes an opportunity to do something meaningful rather than just an exercise in discipline. The intention fuels the action, helping the habit feel less like a task and more like a gift to themselves. Intentions also help prevent the all-or-nothing mindset that often derails progress. When we don't have a clear purpose behind our goals, it's easy to feel discouraged at the first sign of imperfection. Take the example of someone who wants to eat healthier. Without an intention, they might give up after indulging in a few treats, feeling as if they've failed. But if their intention is rooted in self-care and feeling good, they're more likely to view each meal as an opportunity to support their well-being, rather than a pass-or-fail test. With a clear intention, small setbacks are easier to overcome because each choice is connected to a larger purpose. Intentions don't just motivate us, they guide our actions and shape our priorities. When you know why a habit matters, you're more likely to find ways to make it a natural part of your routine. Consider someone who wants to read more books. If they set an intention to learn new things or expand their perspective, they're more likely to find opportunities to read throughout the day, such as during a commute or before bed. The intention keeps the goal at the forefront, helping them find creative ways to integrate the habit into their life. Let's take a real-life example of how setting intentions can transform a habit. Think of someone who wants to start journaling daily. At first, they may feel unsure about what to write or struggle with consistency. But if they set an intention, such as gaining clarity about their thoughts or practicing gratitude, the habit of journaling becomes more purposeful. They're no longer just writing words on a page, they're reflecting on their day, processing their emotions, or reminding themselves of what they're grateful for. This purpose makes the habit more meaningful and encourages them to keep going, even on days when it feels challenging. When setting intentions, it's essential to connect them to your values and aspirations. Ask yourself, what do I value most in life? Whether it's health, relationships, personal growth, or creativity, aligning your intentions with these values creates a powerful motivator. If you're trying to build a habit of spending less time on your phone, and one of your core values is connection with others, you might set an intention to use that time to be more present with family and friends. This intention keeps your habit grounded in something meaningful and reinforces the value of your effort. Another key aspect of setting intentions is to keep them flexible. Life is full of unexpected changes, and rigid goals can sometimes lead to frustration. Let's say someone has set an intention to meditate every morning to reduce stress. One week, they find themselves swamped with early work meetings, making it challenging to meditate in the morning. Rather than abandoning the habit, they might adjust their intention to meditate whenever they have a few quiet moments. Flexibility allows you to stay committed to your purpose without feeling discouraged when circumstances change. It's also worth noting that intentions can evolve. As you progress and grow, your values and goals might shift. The purpose you set at the beginning of your journey might not be the same as the one that guides you later on, and that's okay. For instance, someone might start a habit of learning a new language with the intention of boosting their career prospects. Over time, they may find themselves enjoying the cultural richness of the language itself, shifting their intention toward personal fulfillment rather than professional gain. Embracing this evolution allows your habits to grow with you, keeping them aligned with your current aspirations. Finally, let's talk about how to put this concept into action. Start by choosing one habit you want to build or strengthen. Close your eyes and imagine yourself practicing this habit consistently. Now ask yourself, why does this matter to me? How will this habit improve my life? Dig deep and be honest with yourself. The more specific your answers, the clearer your intention will be. Write down your intention and keep it somewhere visible, whether it's on your mirror, your desk, or as a note on your phone. Let this intention serve as a reminder of the positive impact this habit can have on your life. As you go through each day, return to this intention whenever you feel your motivation waver. Reconnecting with your purpose can reignite your commitment and remind you of the value behind each effort. Setting intentions is a simple yet profound way to strengthen your habits and bring more meaning to each step you take on your journey. Reflective question: what is one habit you want to build, and why is it meaningful to you? Take a moment to reflect on your why and write down a clear, heartfelt intention that will guide and inspire you as you work on this habit. Chapter 4: Building Blocks: Designing Habits That Stick. What does it take to create habits that last? So often, people start new routines with the best intentions, only to find themselves slipping back into old behaviors within days or weeks. The key to building habits that stick lies not in willpower alone, but in designing habits that are simple, rewarding, and seamlessly woven into your daily life. In this chapter, we'll uncover the strategies to build habits that are not only easier to adopt, but also enjoyable to maintain. The first step in designing lasting habits is to make them manageable. Many people struggle to maintain habits because they set overly ambitious goals. Consider someone who wants to start reading more books. They might initially set a goal to read for an hour every night, but as days get busy and fatigue sets in, dedicating a full hour can quickly feel overwhelming. Instead, by starting with just 5 or 10 minutes a day, they create a habit that feels achievable. Over time, as the habit becomes ingrained, they can gradually extend their reading time without feeling overwhelmed. The key here is to start small and allow the habit to grow naturally. Another crucial element in habit design is creating cues or triggers that remind you to practice your habit. Cues anchor your habit to an existing part of your routine, making it easier to remember and execute. For instance, if you want to develop a habit of stretching every morning, you could use your morning coffee as a cue. Each time you make coffee, it serves as a reminder to do a few stretches. This technique, known as habit stacking, involves attaching a new habit to an established one. Because the original habit is already part of your routine, it helps make the new habit feel natural. Over time, the two activities become linked, making it easier to remember and practice your new habit. Rewards are also essential in designing lasting habits. Habits that feel rewarding are more likely to be repeated because they activate the brain's reward system, creating positive associations. For example, someone who wants to start running might reward themselves with a small treat after each run, or simply enjoy the feeling of accomplishment afterward. It doesn't have to be an extravagant reward. Even a small boost of positivity can help solidify the habit. The goal is to create a link between the habit and a sense of satisfaction, which encourages repetition and helps the habit become part of your routine. Let's consider a real-life example to illustrate these principles. Imagine someone who wants to drink more water daily, but finds it difficult to remember. They decide to keep a water bottle on their desk, where it's visible throughout the day. Each time they notice the bottle, it acts as a cue to take a sip. They start by aiming to finish one bottle by noon and reward themselves with a short break when they reach that goal. This combination of cues and rewards creates a system that makes the habit easier to remember and more enjoyable to maintain. Over time, drinking water becomes automatic, no longer requiring as much conscious effort. Another effective technique in habit design is removing obstacles. Sometimes, the hardest part of building a habit is overcoming small barriers that make the habit seem inconvenient. Take someone who wants to start working out in the morning. If they have to hunt for workout clothes, fill up a water bottle, and find their keys each time, the effort involved can discourage them before they even begin. By setting out their workout clothes and filling their water bottle the night before, they remove these small obstacles, making it easier to get started. The fewer barriers between you and your habit, the more likely you are to stick with it. Accountability can also be a powerful tool in reinforcing new habits. When we share our goals with others, we create a social incentive to follow through. For instance, someone who wants to meditate regularly might find it helpful to join a meditation group or use an app that tracks their progress. By connecting with others who have similar goals, they create a support system that provides encouragement and accountability. Knowing that others are aware of your goals can be a motivating factor, helping you stay consistent even on days when motivation is low. Flexibility is also an important consideration in habit design. Life is unpredictable, and strict routines can sometimes become a source of stress when unexpected events arise. Allowing room for adjustment can help make a habit more sustainable. Let's say someone wants to read every evening but finds it hard to keep up on particularly busy days. Rather than giving up the habit altogether, they might adapt by reading a page or two instead of a full chapter. This flexibility ensures that they keep the habit going, even if it's at a smaller scale. Remember, consistency matters more than perfection. Even a small effort reinforces the habit and keeps it alive. To make habits truly stick, it's also essential to connect them to a sense of identity. When you see a habit as part of who you are, rather than something you have to do, it becomes easier to maintain. For example, someone who wants to start journaling might think of themselves as a writer or someone who values self-reflection. By aligning the habit with their sense of identity, they're more likely to see it as a natural part of their life. This shift in perspective can be powerful, transforming a habit from a task to a meaningful expression of who they are. Lastly, it's important to give yourself time. Habits don't become automatic overnight. They require patience and repetition. Studies suggest it can take anywhere from a few weeks to a few months for a new behavior to become automatic, depending on its complexity. During this period, be patient with yourself. Celebrate each day you practice your habit, even if it's not perfect. The process of building habits is gradual, but with consistent effort, these small actions eventually become second nature. To sum up, building habits that stick is about creating a system that makes the habit easy, enjoyable, and rewarding. It's about starting small, using cues and rewards, removing obstacles, and allowing for flexibility. These elements, combined with a sense of purpose and identity, lay the groundwork for habits that are sustainable and meaningful. When you design habits with intention, they become part of your life naturally, helping you move steadily toward your goals without needing constant motivation or discipline. Reflective question: what is one habit you would like to build, and how can you make it more enjoyable, manageable, and rewarding? Think of a small cue, reward, or adjustment that could help this habit become a lasting part of your routine. Chapter 5: Small Steps, Big Gains, The Power of Tiny Changes. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the idea of making a big life change? It's natural to feel intimidated by large goals or sweeping transformations, but the key to meaningful progress often lies in small, consistent actions. In this chapter, we'll explore the incredible power of tiny changes and how, over time, they add up to create significant improvements in your life. When you approach change in small, manageable steps, you reduce the pressure and set yourself up for success. Small changes are effective because they feel achievable. When you aim to improve a habit by just 1% each day, the progress may feel almost unnoticeable at first. But over weeks and months, those small changes compound, creating a powerful upward trajectory. Imagine someone who wants to become healthier. Instead of overhauling their entire lifestyle overnight, they start with something as simple as drinking an extra glass of water each day. This action alone may not drastically change their life, but it builds momentum. As they continue adding small, healthy choices, like taking a 5-minute walk or eating an extra serving of vegetables, these minor adjustments begin to stack up, leading to noticeable improvements in energy, mood, and overall health. Each small change builds on the last, creating a ripple effect that leads to substantial, lasting results. One reason tiny changes work so well is that they fit easily into daily routines without overwhelming you. When habits feel daunting, motivation can wane, but small steps are much easier to incorporate consistently. Consider someone who wants to start a meditation practice but finds the idea of sitting for 30 minutes overwhelming. Instead of jumping straight into a long session, they start with just 2 minutes a day. This short practice feels manageable and allows them to get used to the routine without feeling intimidated. Over time, as meditation becomes more comfortable, they may naturally extend their sessions. By starting small, they eliminate the pressure and build confidence in their ability to maintain the habit. Another benefit of tiny changes is that they create a sense of accomplishment. Each time you complete a small action, you reinforce a positive cycle of success. This sense of progress, no matter how small, can be incredibly motivating. For instance, someone who wants to write a book might set a goal to write just 1 paragraph each day. While a single paragraph may not seem like much, it's a concrete step toward their larger goal. Each day they complete that paragraph, they feel a sense of achievement, which reinforces their commitment to the process. Over time, those paragraphs add up to pages, and before they know it, they've made significant progress toward completing their book. The concept of tiny changes also reduces the fear of failure. Large goals often carry the weight of high expectations, which can create anxiety and lead to procrastination. But with small steps, each action feels less risky, allowing you to move forward without fear of making a mistake. Think of someone who wants to improve their fitness. Instead of setting an intense workout regimen, they start with a commitment to do just 5 minutes of stretching each morning. This small commitment feels low pressure, making it easy to follow through, even on challenging days. As they grow more comfortable with this routine, they can gradually increase their activity level without the stress of meeting a daunting goal. One powerful example of small changes leading to big gains is the story of James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, who explains the power of small, consistent actions through the idea of marginal gains. He shares how the British cycling team, once performing poorly on the world stage, started focusing on improving their performance by 1% in various areas, from adjusting bike seats to changing the soap used in hand washing to prevent illness. Each change seemed minor on its own, but together, these small improvements led the team to extraordinary success, winning multiple Olympic gold medals and Tour de France titles. This principle demonstrates that even tiny adjustments can lead to significant progress when consistently applied. When you commit to tiny changes, you're also building resilience. Life's challenges often derail large goals, but small steps are more adaptable. If you're having a particularly busy day, it's easier to keep up with a small habit rather than feeling discouraged by the inability to complete a larger goal. For example, someone learning a new language may set a goal to study just 5 words a day. On a busy day, they can still fit in this quick study session, keeping the habit alive. This adaptability keeps them moving forward even during challenging times, creating steady progress over time. The power of small changes lies in their sustainability. We all know that drastic changes can be difficult to maintain, but small adjustments often become ingrained because they're realistic. When a habit feels manageable, it's less likely to lead to burnout or resistance. Imagine someone who wants to reduce their screen time. Rather than attempting to cut out all technology use, they start by spending just 5 minutes less on their phone each evening. This small reduction feels feasible, and as they become comfortable with it, they may gradually increase it. Over time, this approach can lead to a meaningful reduction in screen time without the shock or resistance that a more dramatic change might trigger. To effectively use the power of tiny changes, it's essential to focus on consistency. Repetition strengthens habits, and even small actions, when repeated regularly, become ingrained. Think of it as planting seeds. Each tiny change is a seed that grows into a new positive behavior. By showing up daily, even for a short amount of time, you're nurturing that habit and allowing it to take root. Consistency transforms those small actions from isolated efforts into a sustainable routine that becomes second nature. Let's put this concept into action. Start by identifying one area of your life you'd like to improve, whether it's health, productivity, relationships, or personal growth. Choose a small, achievable step related to that goal, something so manageable that it doesn't feel intimidating. Perhaps it's reading one page of a book each night, doing 1 minute of deep breathing before bed, or expressing gratitude for one thing each morning. Whatever it is, commit to doing it daily, no matter how small it feels. Over time, watch as this small change begins to create positive shifts in your life. Reflective question. What is one small, consistent action you can take today that aligns with your goals? Choose a tiny change you're confident you can commit to daily, and observe how this small step starts making a big impact over time. Chapter 6. Consistency Counts. Mastering Daily Commitment. Have you ever started a habit with enthusiasm only to lose steam after a few days or weeks? Many people begin with high motivation, but without consistency, even the best intentions can fade. Consistency is the bridge that takes you from intention to achievement, transforming occasional actions into lasting habits. In this chapter, we'll explore the importance of consistency and how to maintain it, even on the days when motivation feels low. The power of consistency lies in its cumulative effect. Think of each day you practice a habit as adding a small drop into a bucket. At first, it may seem like nothing much is happening, but over time, those drops accumulate, filling the bucket and creating meaningful change. Small, repeated actions can lead to big results, but the key is to keep showing up. For example, someone who commits to just 10 minutes of exercise each day may not notice immediate changes, but after a few weeks, they'll likely feel stronger, have more energy, and notice improvements in their fitness. This transformation isn't the result of one intense workout, it's the outcome of consistent, steady effort. Consistency is often more powerful than intensity. Many people start a new habit with a burst of enthusiasm, going all out for a few days and then burning out. Instead of aiming for perfection, try focusing on showing up every day, even if your effort is small. Imagine someone who wants to build a habit of writing. They might feel tempted to set a goal of writing 1,000 words a day, but this can quickly become overwhelming. By setting a more manageable goal, like writing for 15 minutes a day, they're more likely to stick with it. This approach keeps the habit sustainable, allowing them to build momentum without exhausting their motivation. One common challenge to consistency is the all-or-nothing mindset. Many people believe that if they can't give their full effort, it's not worth doing. But the truth is, even a small action can keep the habit alive. Let's take someone who's building a habit of reading each night. On busy days, they might feel discouraged if they can't read for their usual amount of time. Instead of skipping the habit altogether, they could read just 1 page. While it may seem minor, that small action reinforces their commitment and keeps the habit intact. This approach reminds us that some progress is always better than none, and consistency doesn't require perfection. Life is full of unpredictable moments, and building consistency means learning to adapt. Flexibility is essential because rigid expectations can easily lead to discouragement. For instance, someone who wants to meditate every morning might find it hard to keep up when their schedule changes. Rather than abandoning the habit altogether, they can adjust by meditating at a different time of day or for a shorter period. This flexibility keeps the habit consistent without becoming a source of stress. By allowing themselves to adapt, they stay committed to the habit, reinforcing the value of showing up, even when it's not perfect. Another effective strategy for consistency is tracking your progress. Keeping a simple record of your efforts can help reinforce the habit by providing a visual reminder of your commitment. Imagine someone who wants to drink more water each day. By marking each glass of water they drink on a chart or app, they can see their progress and feel a sense of accomplishment. Tracking not only helps build momentum, but also creates a sense of accountability, motivating you to keep the streak going. This visual representation of your efforts can be incredibly motivating, especially on days when you might feel tempted to skip the habit. Building consistency is also easier when you create a routine around your habit. Routines anchor habits to specific times or situations, making it easier to remember and practice them. For example, someone who wants to establish a habit of journaling might decide to do it right after brushing their teeth each night. By tying the habit to an existing part of their routine, they create a mental association that helps reinforce the behavior. Over time, this association becomes automatic, making it easier to maintain the habit without needing constant reminders or motivation. Accountability can be another powerful tool in maintaining consistency. When we share our goals with others, we create a sense of responsibility, knowing that someone else is aware of our commitment. This could be as simple as telling a friend about your habit or joining a group with similar goals. For instance, someone who wants to practice a musical instrument daily might share their goal with a friend or family member. Knowing that someone else is cheering them on can provide a little extra push to stay consistent, even on days when motivation is low. It's important to celebrate small milestones along the way. Consistency is often a long journey, and it's easy to get discouraged if you only focus on the end goal. Recognize each step forward, no matter how small, as a victory. For example, if you're building a habit of walking daily, celebrate when you reach a week or a month of consistent effort. These small celebrations reinforce the habit and remind you of the progress you're making. They keep you engaged, helping to turn a challenging goal into an enjoyable, rewarding experience. One of the most effective ways to build consistency is by setting up cues and reminders. Life can be busy, and it's easy to forget new habits, especially in the early stages. Using cues like placing a water bottle on your desk to remind you to drink more water can help reinforce the habit. Another example might be setting an alarm on your phone to remind you to take a break and stretch if you're trying to build a habit of regular movement. These cues help integrate the habit into your daily life, making it easier to stay consistent without relying solely on memory. Remember that setbacks are a natural part of the process. Missing a day or two doesn't mean you failed. It's simply an opportunity to get back on track. Life is unpredictable, and there will be times when you can't follow through perfectly. The important thing is not to let one missed day become a reason to abandon the habit altogether. Someone who misses a workout or skips a day of studying can simply pick it back up the next day. By treating setbacks as a normal part of the journey, you'll feel more resilient and able to stay consistent over the long term. Consistency is a journey of showing up day after day, building small steps into a meaningful routine. By focusing on manageable actions, being flexible, and celebrating each step forward, you create a habit that's resilient, adaptable, and sustainable. Over time, this commitment transforms into progress, leading you closer to your goals. When you build consistency, you're not just forming a habit, you're creating a foundation for lasting change. Reflective question. What is one habit you've struggled to maintain, and how can you make it more consistent? Consider a small adjustment, reminder, or accountability measure that could help you show up daily, even when motivation is low. Chapter 7. Mindful Adjustments. Adapting Habits to Life's Curveballs. Life doesn't always go as planned. Just when you're building momentum with a new habit, unexpected events, a busy work schedule, family obligations, or even a health setback can throw you off track. In these moments, the ability to adapt becomes essential. In this chapter, we'll explore how to maintain habits by making mindful adjustments. Flexibility is a key component of lasting change, allowing you to stay committed without being overly rigid. Adaptability in habit building means understanding that consistency is important, but it doesn't require perfection. Many people abandon their habits when faced with disruptions, feeling that if they can't do everything exactly as planned, it's not worth doing at all. However, mindful adjustments help you maintain progress, even in a limited way. Consider someone who's established a morning workout routine but suddenly faces a week of early work meetings. Instead of skipping exercise entirely, They might adjust by doing a short stretching session or taking a brisk walk after work. While different from the original routine, this adaptation keeps the habit alive and reinforces the importance of consistency over perfection. When you allow yourself to make adjustments, you're also practicing self-compassion. Life is unpredictable, and setting rigid expectations can lead to frustration and guilt. Let's take an example of someone building a habit of meal prepping to eat healthier. One week, they have an unusually busy schedule, making it difficult to prepare full meals. Instead of abandoning their goal, they could adjust by choosing healthier options from a local grocery store or preparing simpler, quicker meals. This flexibility doesn't mean they're giving up. It means they're honoring their commitment in a realistic way, allowing the habit to evolve with their circumstances. Mindful adjustments are not just about doing less. Sometimes they involve reshaping the habit to fit a changing environment. Imagine someone who has built a habit of studying in a quiet library, but now has to study at home where it's noisier. To adapt, they might use noise-canceling headphones or play background music to create a study-friendly environment. By making adjustments, they're not giving up on their habit, but finding ways to make it work within new limitations. This kind of adaptability reinforces resilience, teaching them that their habits are valuable enough to protect, even if the approach needs to change. When you make mindful adjustments, it's helpful to focus on the essence of the habit rather than the specifics. The essence of a habit is its purpose or underlying goal. For example, if you've built a habit of meditating in the morning to reduce stress, the core goal is relaxation and mindfulness. If your mornings suddenly become busy, you might shift to an evening meditation or practice deep breathing throughout the day. By staying connected to the habit's essence, you maintain the benefits without being tied to a rigid structure. This approach helps keep your goals intact, even if the method of achieving them changes. Sometimes, adjustments involve scaling back temporarily rather than abandoning the habit entirely. Imagine someone who's developed a habit of running for 30 minutes each day, but finds themselves recovering from an injury. Instead of quitting exercise, they might switch to a gentle walking routine until they're ready to return to running. This scaled-back version of the habit keeps them active and engaged, preserving the routine while respecting their current limitations. Scaling back allows you to maintain momentum and avoids the frustration of feeling like you're starting over each time life presents a challenge. Adapting also means planning ahead for potential obstacles. Anticipating disruptions can help you stay prepared, making it easier to maintain habits even when life becomes unpredictable. For example, someone building a habit of daily journaling might recognize that travel could interrupt their routine. To prepare, they might bring a small notebook or use a digital journaling app that's accessible from anywhere. This proactive approach reduces stress, allowing them to continue their habit without disruption. Planning for obstacles is a powerful tool, helping you stay committed by creating solutions before challenges arise. Making adjustments to your habits doesn't just help in the short term, it also strengthens your long-term commitment. By practicing flexibility, you learn that habits are not all-or-nothing pursuits. Let's take an example of someone who's trying to spend less time on their phone. They might set a goal to avoid social media in the evenings, but find that during certain social events or family gatherings, it's difficult to disconnect completely. Instead of giving up on their goal, they might adjust by setting a shorter time limit or using their phone for specific purposes only. This adjustment reinforces their goal while allowing for occasional exceptions. Over time, these small adjustments teach them that their habit can coexist with the demands of daily life. One of the most powerful aspects of mindful adjustments is that they help you build resilience. When you practice adapting your habits to changing circumstances, you build a sense of control and confidence in your ability to maintain progress, no matter what life throws at you. Think of someone who's established a habit of practicing gratitude daily, but encounters a period of stress or hardship. On difficult days, they might feel less inclined to reflect on gratitude, but instead of skipping it altogether, they might write just one thing they're grateful for, no matter how small. This adjusted version of the habit helps them stay connected to a positive mindset, even in challenging times. It's important to remember that mindful adjustments are a part of the habit-building process. Change is inevitable, and the ability to adjust is what keeps your habits resilient. When you adapt, you're not weakening your commitment, you're reinforcing it. By recognizing that habits can evolve, you empower yourself to stay on track in a way that feels natural and sustainable. This flexibility becomes a valuable skill, helping you stay connected to your goals through all of life's ups and downs. As you work to make mindful adjustments, keep in mind that the goal is progress, not perfection. Even small adaptations can keep you moving forward, and every effort counts. When you learn to make adjustments without feeling guilty or discouraged, you create habits that are resilient, adaptable, and deeply rooted in your values. This approach transforms habit building from a rigid task into a flexible, lifelong practice that can grow with you over time. Reflective question. Think of a habit you're currently working on. What is one adjustment you could make to stay consistent with it, even when life becomes busy or unpredictable? Practice this adjustment the next time you face a disruption and notice how it helps keep your habit strong. Chapter 8. Overcoming Setbacks. Turning challenges into growth. Setbacks are a natural part of any journey, but they often feel discouraging, making it easy to lose sight of your goals. When it comes to building habits, the road is rarely smooth, and unexpected challenges can arise that test your resilience and commitment. In this chapter, we'll explore how to view setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. Learning to overcome setbacks helps you build a stronger foundation for your habits, allowing you to stay focused on your goals and become more resilient in the face of challenges. Setbacks are common because life is unpredictable. Even with the best intentions, things happen. A busy week at work, a sudden illness, or simply a period of low motivation. Many people experience a setback and feel like they've failed, which can lead to giving up on their habit altogether. But in reality, setbacks don't erase the progress you've made. They simply reveal areas where you might need to adjust or refocus. Imagine someone who has built a habit of eating healthy, but finds themselves reaching for comfort foods during a stressful time. While it's easy to feel discouraged, this moment offers valuable insight. It shows that the person's stress levels may influence their eating choices, highlighting a need for strategies to manage stress alongside their nutrition goals. By viewing the setback as a learning experience, they can develop a more comprehensive approach that supports long-term success. Turning challenges into growth requires a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing a setback as a step backward, consider it a part of the learning process. Every setback holds valuable lessons about your habits, triggers, and motivations. For example, someone who wants to exercise regularly might skip a few workouts due to a packed schedule. Instead of feeling guilty, they can use this experience to reflect on why the habit became difficult. Perhaps they realize that their workout time conflicts with other obligations. This reflection allows them to adjust their schedule, finding a time that better fits their daily routine. By examining the cause of the setback, they're able to make adjustments that make the habit easier to maintain in the future. One powerful tool for overcoming setbacks is practicing self-compassion. Often, people are harsh on themselves when they fall short, which only adds to the discouragement. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. If a friend missed a workout or had an unproductive day, you wouldn't judge them harshly. You'd likely encourage them to try again. By extending this kindness to yourself, you can approach setbacks with a positive mindset. Imagine someone who's working on a habit of waking up early but oversleeps a few days in a row. Instead of criticizing themselves, they could acknowledge that building a new habit takes time and focus on adjusting their bedtime routine to support the goal. This compassionate approach removes the pressure of perfection and makes it easier to regain momentum. Setbacks can also serve as reminders to revisit your goals and intentions. Sometimes when progress slows down, it's a sign to reconnect with the reasons you started the habit in the first place. Think of someone who set a goal to read every night, but finds themselves skipping it regularly. By reflecting on their original intention, whether it's to gain knowledge, relax, or reduce screen time, they may feel reinvigorated and motivated to recommit to the habit. This reflection helps clarify the purpose behind the habit, making it easier to overcome the setback and move forward with renewed enthusiasm. In many cases, setbacks can reveal underlying patterns or obstacles once addressed make the habit stronger. For instance, someone who wants to practice mindfulness might struggle with consistency, especially during particularly busy or stressful times. By examining their setbacks, they might discover that they feel too tired or distracted at certain times of the day. With this insight, they could try practicing mindfulness in shorter sessions or at different times, like a brief moment of meditation before lunch. This adjustment helps them fit the habit into their life more naturally, reducing the likelihood of future setbacks. Sometimes, setbacks help you refine your approach, transforming the habit into something more sustainable. It's also helpful to celebrate your ability to get back on track. Every time you recover from a setback, you're strengthening your resilience and reinforcing the habit. Let's consider someone who wants to improve their time management skills but has a week when their schedule falls apart. Instead of giving up, they take a moment to reorganize, prioritizing tasks and setting realistic goals for the next week. This recovery effort, though small, reinforces their commitment to their habit. Celebrating these moments of resilience reinforces the idea that setbacks don't define your journey, your response to them does. Overcoming a setback, no matter how minor, builds confidence and strengthens your determination. Setbacks also provide an opportunity to practice patience. Building a habit is a process, not an overnight change, and setbacks remind you that lasting growth takes time. Think of someone who's learning a new skill, like playing an instrument. They may face periods when they feel they're not improving, or they might struggle with certain techniques. Rather than giving up, they can approach each setback as part of the learning process. Each moment of struggle brings them closer to mastery, and with time, the difficult parts become easier. This patience is key to long-term success, helping you stay committed even when progress seems slow. Lastly, overcoming setbacks involves building a support system. Sometimes having someone to talk to, whether a friend, family member, or mentor, can make a big difference in recovering from a setback. Imagine someone who's building a habit of daily exercise. If they miss a week, they might feel discouraged. But by reaching out to a workout buddy or joining a fitness group, they gain encouragement and accountability, making it easier to get back on track. A support system reminds you that you're not alone, providing motivation and perspective that can help you recover from setbacks with greater ease. Ultimately, setbacks are not obstacles to avoid, but opportunities to embrace. They teach you about your strengths, areas for improvement, and the resilience you're building with each challenge. Every setback you overcome reinforces your commitment to your goals and prepares you for future challenges. By learning to navigate setbacks, you're not only building habits, you're cultivating a mindset that is flexible, resilient, and prepared to adapt to life's changes. Reflective question: think of a recent setback in one of your habits. What can you learn from it, and how might you adjust your approach to prevent similar challenges in the future? Reflect on how you can turn this setback into an opportunity for growth. Chapter 9. Sustaining Success, Reinforcing Long-Term Habits. Once you've established a habit, the challenge shifts from building it to sustaining it over the long term. Maintaining a habit requires commitment and reinforcement to prevent it from slipping away. In this chapter, we'll explore strategies for making your habits resilient so they continue to support you over time. When habits become woven into the fabric of your daily life, they become reliable allies on your journey of growth. Long-term habits often begin to feel effortless once they've become ingrained, but it's important not to assume that they'll stay that way without ongoing reinforcement. Habits, like anything else, can weaken if neglected. Imagine someone who developed a habit of daily stretching to relieve back pain. At first, they were diligent, and as they noticed improvement, stretching became second nature. But over time, as their pain diminished, they began skipping sessions, thinking they no longer needed it. Eventually, the habit faded and the pain returned. This example highlights that even well-established habits need continued attention to maintain their positive effects. One way to sustain long-term habits is by connecting them to a strong sense of purpose. When a habit feels meaningful, you're more likely to stay committed to it. Think of someone who's built a habit of budgeting and saving money. At first, they may have started this habit to manage debt, but over time, their motivation shifted to saving for a future goal, like a home or a dream vacation. By keeping this larger purpose in mind, they reinforce their commitment to budgeting. Every time they review their finances, they're reminded of why they started, and this sense of purpose helps them stay consistent, even when it feels challenging. Celebrating milestones can also play a powerful role in reinforcing habits. When you take time to recognize your progress, you boost your motivation and remind yourself of how far you've come. Let's consider someone who's established a habit of running several times a week. Each time they reach a new personal best, like running a longer distance or improving their speed, they take a moment to celebrate. This recognition reinforces the habit by linking it with positive emotions, making it more likely that they'll continue. Celebrating small wins along the way reminds you that your efforts matter, providing encouragement to keep going. Another effective way to sustain habits is by regularly revisiting and adjusting them. As life changes, your habits may need to adapt to fit your current circumstances. For example, someone who has a habit of reading every night might find it harder to keep up during a busy work season. Rather than abandoning the habit, they might reduce their reading time to a few pages each night. This adjustment keeps the habit manageable without giving up entirely. By periodically assessing your habits, you can make small changes to ensure they continue to serve you without feeling burdensome. Maintaining long-term habits also involves keeping them enjoyable. When a habit becomes monotonous, it's easy to lose interest, which can lead to inconsistency. Adding variety can help keep the habit engaging and fresh. Imagine someone who has developed a habit of exercising regularly. To prevent boredom, they might change their routine from time to time, trying different activities like swimming, yoga, or hiking. By incorporating new elements, they maintain excitement around the habit, making it easier to stay committed. When habits feel enjoyable, they become something you look forward to rather than a chore. A useful technique for reinforcing habits is visualization. Taking a few moments each day to visualize the benefits of your habit can help strengthen your commitment. For example, someone who meditates daily to reduce stress might spend a minute visualizing the calm and focus that meditation brings. This daily reminder reinforces the habit, making it easier to continue. Visualization strengthens the habit's impact on your mind, keeping the benefits fresh and motivating you to maintain it. Accountability also plays a significant role in sustaining habits over time. When others know about your habit, you're more likely to stay consistent. Consider someone who is committed to a habit of practicing a musical instrument. By sharing this goal with a friend or teacher, they create a sense of accountability. Knowing that someone else is aware of their commitment can provide an extra boost of motivation, especially on days when they feel less inclined to practice. Accountability doesn't have to be formal. It can be as simple as checking in with a friend or keeping a record of your progress. To sustain long-term habits, it's also helpful to build resilience for times when motivation is low. Life has natural ebbs and flows, and there will be days when maintaining a habit feels harder than usual. Anticipating these moments and having a plan can help you stay on track. Let's say someone is trying to maintain a habit of eating healthy but finds themselves craving less nutritious foods during stressful times. By preparing healthy snacks in advance, they make it easier to stick to their habit even on challenging days. Having a backup plan can help you avoid setbacks, allowing you to stay committed even when motivation dips. Lastly, reflection is a valuable tool for sustaining long-term habits. Periodically reviewing your progress and the benefits of your habit can help you stay motivated. Imagine someone who's built a habit of journaling each night. Every few months, they might look back at their journal entries to see how much they've grown. This reflection highlights the positive impact of the habit, reminding them of its value. Reflecting on your journey allows you to appreciate the progress you've made, keeping your motivation strong and reinforcing the habit's importance in your life. In sustaining long-term habits, remember that commitment doesn't mean rigidity. Habits can be adjusted, celebrated, visualized, and enjoyed. Each time you reinforce a habit, you're strengthening its place in your life. Building habits isn't just about creating change, it's about making that change last. By finding ways to sustain and nurture your habits, you create a foundation for growth that supports you over the long term. Reflective question. Think about a habit you've been working on. How can you reinforce it to ensure it remains a meaningful part of your life? Consider a small celebration, adjustment, or accountability measure that could help you sustain your commitment. Chapter 10. Living the Shift. Embracing your transformed mindset. As you reach the end of your journey in building new habits, you've likely noticed something deeper unfolding, a shift in your mindset. Habits are more than routines. They shape your perspective and reinforce who you want to become. In this final chapter, we'll explore how to fully embrace your transformed mindset, making your habits a seamless part of your life. Living the shift means stepping into a new identity where your habits naturally align with your goals, values, and dreams. When you consistently practice habits that support your growth, you're not just creating change, you're building a new self-image. Each small step, every effort you make, contributes to a sense of identity rooted in purpose and progress. Consider someone who, after months of building a habit of regular exercise, now sees themselves as an active person. At first, they may have viewed exercise as something they needed to do, but over time it became a part of who they are. They no longer have to rely on motivation to work out. It's simply a natural part of their life. This shift in identity is a powerful outcome of habit building. When you begin to view yourself through the lens of your habits, you strengthen your commitment and open the door to even greater growth. Living the shift also involves letting go of old, limiting beliefs that may have held you back. Often, people carry self-doubts or assumptions about what they can and can't achieve. As you've worked on building habits, you've likely challenged some of these beliefs. For instance, someone who once believed they couldn't be organized may now find themselves thriving with a habit of planning and prioritizing. By consistently practicing this habit, they've proven to themselves that they are capable of structure and efficiency. This new belief replaces the old one, creating a sense of empowerment that can extend into other areas of life. Embracing your transformed mindset means allowing yourself to grow beyond past limitations and fully believing in your potential. One of the most fulfilling aspects of living the shift is the sense of alignment it creates between your actions and your values. When your habits support your personal values, life feels more purposeful. Let's consider someone who values creativity but struggled for years to make time for it. After developing a habit of setting aside a few minutes each day to write or draw, they now feel more connected to their creative side. This small but consistent practice allows them to express their values through their actions. Living in alignment with your values enhances not only your habits, but also your overall satisfaction and well-being. Your actions become a reflection of what matters most to you, creating a deep sense of fulfillment. Living the shift also empowers you to handle future challenges with resilience. The journey of habit building likely brought moments of difficulty, requiring flexibility and persistence. Each time you overcame an obstacle, you strengthened your ability to adapt and persevere. Now, as you embrace this transformed mindset, you carry those lessons with you. For instance, someone who has built a habit of managing stress through mindfulness may find that they're better equipped to handle unexpected challenges. The habit has taught them techniques for calming their mind, allowing them to face adversity with confidence. This resilience extends beyond the habit itself, equipping you to navigate life's twists and turns with a steady, grounded approach. To fully integrate your transformed mindset, it can be helpful to periodically reflect on the progress you've made. Acknowledge the changes you've experienced, both big and small. Reflecting on your journey reminds you of the value of each habit and reinforces your commitment to continued growth. Imagine someone who, after working on a habit of gratitude, now feels more positive and appreciative of life. By occasionally journaling about their gratitude practice, they deepen their awareness of how this habit has shaped their outlook. Reflection keeps the impact of your habits fresh in your mind, reminding you of how far you've come and inspiring you to continue growing. Another key to living the shift is sharing your journey with others. When you talk about your progress, challenges, and achievements, you reinforce your commitment to your habits. Sharing your experience can also inspire those around you, creating a ripple effect of positive change. Think of someone who has built a habit of sustainable living. By discussing their efforts with friends or family, they may encourage others to adopt similar practices. Living the shift doesn't just benefit you, it can also positively impact those around you. When you embody the changes you've made, you become a source of inspiration, showing others what's possible through consistent effort and commitment. As you fully embrace your transformed mindset, remember that growth is a continuous journey. The habits you've developed provide a strong foundation, but there is always room to evolve. Living the shift means staying open to new habits, goals, and opportunities. For instance, someone who has developed a habit of healthy eating might explore new recipes, try different cuisines, or set goals to learn about nutrition. This openness to growth keeps your mindset dynamic, allowing your habits to expand and adapt over time. Embracing your transformed mindset doesn't mean reaching a fixed endpoint. It's about living in a way that allows for constant evolution and improvement. One way to continue nurturing your transformed mindset is by setting new goals that build on your existing habits. Think of it as adding layers to your growth. For example, someone who has built a habit of daily reading might set a new goal to apply what they've learned by writing summaries or sharing insights with others. This new goal builds on the foundation of their reading habit, creating a deeper level of engagement. By setting new goals, you keep your mindset engaged and energized, giving you fresh motivation to continue your journey. Living the shift ultimately means embracing a lifestyle of intentionality. Your habits are no longer separate tasks or goals, they're an integrated part of who you are and how you approach life. This intentional approach brings clarity and purpose to each day, guiding your choices and shaping your future. Imagine someone who has built habits around productivity, mindfulness, and self-care. Each of these habits contributes to a lifestyle that prioritizes growth, balance, and well-being. This individual wakes up each day knowing they are actively working toward a fulfilling life. Living the shift means bringing intention to every moment, creating a life that reflects your values, aspirations, and inner growth. As you step fully into this transformed mindset, know that you have the tools, resilience, and commitment to continue growing. Your habits have shaped not only your actions but also your identity, allowing you to live in alignment with your goals and values. The journey doesn't end here, rather, it opens up new possibilities for growth and fulfillment. Embrace this mindset with confidence, knowing that you have the power to create a life that feels authentic, purposeful, and truly yours. Reflective question. Reflect on one habit that has transformed your mindset. How can you continue to build on this habit to deepen its impact on your life? Consider new ways to apply your transformed mindset, allowing your growth to flourish and expand. Throughout this journey, we've explored the power of habits and the mindset shifts needed to make meaningful, lasting change. From setting clear intentions to embracing flexibility and learning to view setbacks as opportunities for growth, each chapter has provided tools to help you build habits that support your goals and values. As you continue to apply these principles, remember that growth is a journey, not a destination. By nurturing your habits and embracing a transformed mindset, you're creating a foundation for continuous improvement and fulfillment. Thank you for taking the time to engage with this journey toward personal growth. If you found value in this content, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more insights and support on building a life aligned with your highest potential.